Hi there everyone. This tutorial is going to cover the section perspective assignment with techniques in Rhino and Illustrator. This will not go into any rendering or Photoshop techniques. So first we'll set a view using clipping plane and save it. What I already have in my model here are 3 clipping planes, and I already have a few views saved based on those. And so we can take a look at what those look like. I think maybe this one might be the one we want. We get to see all the way into the pool area. We see the deep space here. We see the different vertical sectional space differences here, as well as different floor heights that we have going on. Now, what we want to do is generate a 2D surface of those pochade areas, right? The in-between areas, the floor slab, the wall thickness, a 2D of that. So I'll go to my quad view again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show the clipping planes. In the top view, this is the one that is producing the clipping plane. We're looking in our desired view now. So I'm going to use the section command. I'm going to select my entire geometry, and I'm going to deselect the, let's deselect the clipping planes though. All right, so I've just got my model geometry selected. I'll use section, the section command. Okay. And I'm going to hit enter and just draw a line, snap to the clipping plane, and just draw parallel to it across there. And I'll hit enter again to finish the command. Rhino has created, I'll move this off to the side. And let's select that. We'll do a zoom selected here. Rhino has created a two-dimensional set of curves here that are a group. And so we can use this in Illustrator to create a pochade color. We could also clean this up here in Rhino and create a closed surface, or perhaps set of closed surfaces that we can use as a solid pochade as well here in the Rhino model and just render it that way. What I've done now is I've added some people and I've cleaned up a few things and added in some furniture in the guest rooms. What you want to do is populate as much as you can in this view and make it pretty rich. Now, what you also want to do, any of the spaces we don't see, for example, anything beyond the wall here in any of these rooms, delete it. Just get it out of the model for the purposes of doing a rendering. Anything that's obscured, delete it. But we do want to go ahead and take the opportunity to populate things that are in view, and especially the things that populate the perspectival part so that we can get a sense of scale. So if I go back and let me call back up the view here, all right? So the view also, I want you to make note, a 2-point perspective is what we want here, okay? So if you're in the viewport and the viewport properties are open with the little camera, you want 2-point perspective. Usually what we've got in Rhino is a perspective view. We want the 2-point perspective, all right? And I saved a name view in my named views palette here for that 2-point perspective view. What I'm also going to do is there are a few things that I'm cutting through that are they're confusing. They don't make sense, and it's not necessary to have them being cut through. And we don't need to be so kind of literal. And some of those things include this piece of furniture here, this Le Corbusier chair. It's just confusing, and it's hard to see what it is. Go ahead and fill out all of these other empty rooms as much as possible with people and furnishings, light fixtures, make it rich. So now to properly render this view, we need to actually split the model. So I'll go back to my quad view and I'll take a look at the top view here. And let's make sure I get kind of everything on here. I'm going to make a line, draw a line in plan view, right where my cut is. So a line, and I'm going to align it with the clipping plane that I've got there. I'm just going to draw across here and draw a line. Okay, so there's my, just a simple line. I'm going to hide the clipping planes. Now I am also going to select everything and ungroup. And I'm just going to do it again just to be sure, and maybe one more time. So ungroup, I'm just going to make sure everything is ungrouped. And now I'll select everything again, except for that line. And I'm going to use the split command. And it says select cutting objects. I'll just select the line that I drew in the top view here to cut through the whole model from top to bottom. Hit enter or space, and the split is done. So what I'm going to do is just select everything that is hidden here, and I will actually hide. Hide those. Zoom in. Whoops, there's some curves I'm deselecting here, and I think it's split. So in here, hide those. All right, click. Just take a look in there. Hide. And these other things here are, I think, just basically curves. Yep, open curve, curve. We can hide those too. So split is done, and so I could even turn off the section plane. So I'm going to go to my front view here, which corresponds to the section cut here. And I'm just going to open that up and go to my layers. Since I saved that section cut on its own layer, I'm just going to show only that layer. And everything here is a group, so I'm going to ungroup everything and make sure I've only got individual curves here now. All right, so I'm just going to clean this up so that these are a bunch of closed curves, and what I can do is turn them into surfaces. Use the planar surface command on a lot of these. So for example, those planar surface, planar surface, planar surface, and anything that's an enclosed area, anything that Rhino finds as an enclosed area here, in a plane, it's going to turn into a surface. And so you can see that the clipping plane is causing these black outlines here. If that actually shows up in the render and we don't want that, we can go to View, Display Options, and then under our render view, or whichever view we've got here, go to Clipping Plane Objects, and here Show Edges. We can turn it off for now. And then this would be, we can send this to render. Okay, let's say I've got a rendering, but because of various lighting things or whatever, the color of the poché there is not what I actually want, just because of the lighting, the color temperature of the sun or something. You see how it changes from black to sort of the brown because of the color temperature. And it'll be hard to control that, or maybe that's not the color I actually want for the poché. I can bring this into Illustrator and trace over that and make that a nice sharp vector edge with the color, exact color I want. What we've already done is we've set up in Rhino our cutting section cut plane was this 2D item. Just these was just that fill. So first I still have this view, named view here active, and I'm going to show the clipping plane items. Then I'm going to select the one that represents the one we are cutting here and disable it. So disable clipping plane. There, okay? So I'm careful not to move the mouse or move the view around. Then I'm going to go to my layers. I put that section curve on its own layer. I can select that layer and right click on it and say show only this layer. So there it is. All right, so I want to keep this view though. I can say select all and go ahead and do export selected. And we will put this where we need to as an Illustrator file here. I only need the geometry. I'll save geometry only. Okay. Then with the options that come up, export viewport boundary is something we do want in this case. Okay. Because that'll allow us to line up, when we bring it to Illustrator, it'll allow us to line this up with our exported rendered view. Okay. So I'll hit export and that'll do that.